welcome into BoardCheck. We are here for period number 1. Bunch of fun things to get to. I'm Jeremy the Impact York. Glad to see you guys again. I know we're a little later than normal. I promise you guys, starting next week, you'll see us every Wednesday. That's just what's going to happen. It gets a little busier. We got some other stuff going on, but BoardCheck's our priority. So definitely want to tune in next Wednesday. We're going to have more updates. The Bruins will finally be playing more games, and we'll be talking about Star Wars night, which I'll talk a little bit more about here in a second. First, I want to get into some Boston Bruins stuff. We'll talk some Bruins. We'll talk some Gladiators a little later. We'll talk some NHL in between. We'll make a big meat sandwich out of this show. But first, like I said, let's talk about those Boston Bruins. Now, first, I want to tell you that the New England Patriots, the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots, dropped by the TD Garden to see the Boston Bruins, kind of hang out with them, show them the cool trophy, maybe inspire them to try to get a trophy of their own. You know, we can only hope. But they were able to hang out with them. That's always pretty cool. I like when all the Boston teams hang out with each other, or all of any city. If you win one, you hang out with the other people. You try to tell people, get that motivation, get that focus in, stuff like that. Now, ever since Mr. Cassidy has taken over for the Boston Bruins, ever since he got rid of Claude Julien, we all know about that. He is actually 3-0 since taking over the bench. And let's see, they won 6-3 against the San Jose Sharks, arguably the best team in the league. At least if you ask Cody Elias, who's been on the show many times, might be on the other shows here soon. They beat Vancouver 4-3. All these games are at home as well, which might help. And they also beat Montreal 4-0, which I don't know what's going on with the Canadians. They should check to see if there's a hole in the boat. They may not even have a boat. I think they're up the creek. They don't even have a boat, let alone a paddle. But that's Montreal. But all three of these games were at home for the Boston Bruins, which helps. And you get this goofy bye week on the back end of it. The next game they're going to play is not until, Sunday, when they're actually going to play against the San Jose Sharks in San Jose, I believe. Yes, Sunday at 8:30 p.m. actually, Eastern Standard Time. Maybe I'll try to check that game out. It should be on a channel we get. If not, I guess we'll get the NHL package. But this bye week is just odd. So, for lack of a better thing, let's tell you about some of the leaders right now. Who is leading in goals? Well, it'd be Mr. Pasternak with 25 or Brad Marchand with 24. When Brad Marchand's not tripping people and then being a goon sometimes, Marchand, I'm talking about you. Stop being a goon, start being a leader. When you're a leader, you're fantastic. So start being the leader again. This is what we really need. But Marchand has 24. So there's 49 goals between the two of them. After that, it kind of drops off. So let's get that on up. Now, as far as assists, Mr. Brad Marchand is leading with 34 assists. So that is, 58 total points right now. And Krug has 31. How much more can you ask from Krug than that? I think he's a good player, and he's been able to solidify part of this lineup. So you gotta let that go. The Tuukka Rask up to this point is 27, 13, and 4 with a 2.27 goals against average. That is not bad at all. It means he's average giving up 2.25 goals a game. Sounds good to me. And he seems to be the only goalie he can win. Remember, still can't find a backup goalie that can win consistently. I know Khudobin was recalled. I don't know why Dan Vladar, who is currently playing right now for the Thrashers, he's currently playing right now for the Gladiators. See, this is throwing me off. We gotta get some Gladiator stuff here, and we gotta get this down and get some Boston Bruins stuff. So we're gonna get right on that. But I don't know why they don't get Vladar, who's been called back and forth, that kind of thing. He's playing solidly right now for the Gladiators. It is Star Wars weekend. We'll talk more about that, like I said. As far as Tuukka Rask, he also has a .912 save percentage. That's not bad. I would like a little higher, but can't blame him when the defense fails. And he actually has 6 shutouts, which is good for, I believe, third. There's 2 guys that have like 8. But, Bobrovsky and others, just, nothing you can do about that. You can't ask Tuukka Rask to carry this team any more than he has, because he has absolutely just put them right on the shoulders, and he is carrying them right through the middle of this. So, Tuukka, shout out to you. You're doing all you can, man. We got to do better. We got to, getting Claude out of the way. He's now the coach for Montreal, oddly enough. The team that just got blown out by the Bruins in a weird mess. But, hey, good for Claude. He's coached there before, and maybe he'll help the Canadians make a pretty good run. But, that's going to do it for period number 1. When we come back from the break, we'll talk some NHL. And then in period number 3, we'll attack the Atlanta Gladiators. Well, we won't attack them, but we'll talk some Gladiators and attack the rest of the league. Right? I'm Jeremy Impact York. We will see you on the other side of the break. And we're back for period number 2. I'm Jeremy the Impact York. Welcome back. In the first period, we talked a lot about the Boston Bruins. We're going to get to some Gladiator stuff in period number 3. But in period number 2, right here where we're at, I'm going to go over some NHL stories, some news and notes, and then my personal takes on those. And let's get right started. Henry Lundqvist, Hank, plays for that team over there. Nothing personal, but we need some Bruins stuff up, don't we? We need some Bruins and Glad stuff up, so get right on that. But Hank won his, King Henry, Hank, whatever you want to call him, he won his 400th game as a starting goalie in the NHL. That is fantastic. There is a good chance that he'll be able to make it in the top 2 or 3 by the end of his career, as long as the Rangers continue to put a team around him. He kind of had some issues here and there. He seems to have a pretty good team here. Are they good enough to make a cup run? Maybe. I mean, they're ahead of the Bruins right now. The Bruins could probably make the playoffs, probably first or second round exit. The Rangers could go probably to the conference finals. There's a chance they could make a Stanley Cup. It would just depend on the matchup at that point. But, congratulations to Hank on number 400, and here's to hopefully a couple hundred more, as long as it's not against the Bruins. Moving on, Mike Ilitch, who was a owner of the Detroit Red Wings. He was the owner since 1982. He is, he's the reason why they've won so many cups. He's been able to do a spectacular job, not just for the NHL, but for the Detroit Red Wings, and bringing them back into prominence. He hired Scotty Bowman, who got him all those cups. Steve Yzerman, Sergei Fedorov, Konstantinov, all those guys, he had a lot to do with bringing them in. He made sure to have the GM. The GM, of course, was able to bring in those players, know how to draft them, put the right team together. They had, Chris Osgood, all those kind of guys. They brought in Hasek at some point towards the end, were able to keep winning. They, in a way, were, at least in the 90s, were like the Yankees of hockey. So, But he ultimately passed away at the age of 87 just last week. They did a touching video. I was actually watching that game when they did the video tribute. It's a very fantastic video. I think it really helped paint for people who didn't really know him that well. It painted that picture of how good a guy he really was and all the stuff he did. So, thoughts and condolences to not only Detroit in general, but the Ilitch family. And, Mike was a good guy, and they actually were able to respond and did pretty well. That when the game that they ultimately honored him, they are going to have the patch up on the sleeve now, which is a really nice patch. If you're a Red Wings fan, definitely go get that patch. Even if you're not, if you're just a original six, or if you're just a hockey fan, that's a fantastic patch to have. That he meant a lot, and they'll probably set up some charity related stuff as well. So definitely check in on them on that. I believe Detroit won that game, if I remember. I watched a lot of games that day, but I believe they won. So good for Detroit that they could honor Mike that way. And once again, thoughts, prayers, condolences out to his family. Now, hockey in China. This is something that's kind of come up here recently. Mr. Joe, as it's called, I think it's Mr. Zhao is how you might pronounce it, but there's a guy over in China. He is a Chinese billionaire. He is in with ORG Packaging out of Beijing. They have current partnerships right now with the Kings, Capitals, and Bruins. And actually, the Bruins just a couple weeks ago had the second ORG night, and Mr. Joe, as he's called, was the guy who did the ceremonial puck drop. ORG also has a deal with Pasternak. That helps. And ORG is also a sponsor of the World Cup of Hockey. They had a lot to do with us being able to see it and all the fun events that happen with that. Now, what Mr. Joe wants to do is he doesn't want an NHL team there, but he wants to expand the brand over into China, and the NHL is going to follow in the footsteps of the NFL. And if there's a market with so many millions of people that could be exposed to the game, it's something they're going to try to do. What they're going to try to do, they may have an exhibition game over there, the way a lot of these leagues do. MLB does it sometimes. They start games in, the start of the season will be in Australia or something like that. It'll probably start more than likely with a few teams going over to China to play some exhibition games. They may start their own professional league over that way. They may have amateur teams over that way. There's a lot of things they can do, but Mr. Joe seems to be the one who wants to spearhead all this, and I, for one, am behind it. You guys thought Las Vegas was one of the more out there places that there could be hockey, and now there's going to be hockey there. So China's not that much further down the line as far as you just got to believe it. So, we'll have to see how that goes. I think there's a good chance that Boston would be a team considered to go to China to play an exhibition game or possibly a regular season game. So stay tuned for more on that. And lastly, Brent Burns of the San Jose Sharks, and I know we've talked a little bit of Sharks here in the last few weeks, but Brent Burns is not only one of the best defensemen in the league, if you could really call him a defenseman, he's overall a great player. There's a chance that he could be up for so many awards at the end of top offensive player, top defensive player. I think he's got to be an MVP candidate at this point. The way he's playing is just otherworldly. Sid the Kid, Ovechkin, Chara, Pasternak, even anybody is playing good, but the way Burnsy is playing right now is just downright insane. He's got to be the leading candidate for the MVP just for the simple fact that he can play offense and defense, and he means so much to his team. MVP to me in any sport means if I take you off of the team you play for, is that team going to continue to strive and do the things they're doing, or are they going to be drastically a lot different? And I think if you take Brent Burns off the San Jose Sharks, you can mark off probably at least 10 to 12 potential victories, and you're going to have a couple more injuries because people are going to have to play a lot differently. So, long story short, is Brent Burns a possible MVP candidate? I think he's the leading MVP candidate at the current moment. So, once again, time will tell on that. Maybe we'll get Cody back on here, the Sharks expert, to talk a little more about that in the coming weeks. But for now, that's going to do it for us for period number 2. I'm Jeremy the Impact York. We'll see you in period number 3, where we're going to talk Dan of Vladar, or Darth Vladar as I call him, and the Atlanta Gladiators. We'll see you on the other side of the break. We're on BoardCheck. And we're back for period number 3 right here on BoardCheck. I am Jeremy the Impact York. Good to see you guys. Glad you guys made it back. Hopefully you checked out the hot dog stand. We have the 2-for-1 going there. Definitely go for those. The Chicago dog is actually quite nice. The Boston dog is probably better. Just saying. But we're going to talk some Atlanta Gladiators. Before we do that, I want to tell you that the Evansville Icemen are no longer in Evansville, Indiana. They are now in Jacksonville, Florida. They are the Jacksonville Icemen starting next season. So, hey, there's a chance we can go down there and catch a game. There's a good chance that Atlanta's going to play a handful of games because we seem to play people within our general area a lot. Ask South Carolina. Ask the Swamp Rabbits. We play them all a good bit because they're right here close. So, congratulations to Jacksonville on being able to get the Icemen. It's kind of weird. There's probably not ice in Jacksonville, could be, but it helps out that general area, and Jacksonville is just a fun city, so there's a good chance we go down there and catch a game. But maybe we'll have some other guys on here soon to talk about the move. Who knows? You guys keep sending in your questions, comments, and suggestions, and we'll do our best to get some new guests on. Now, as far as the Atlanta Gladiators, I want to tell you that one of my favorite Gladiators, and you guys know all about my my followance of this player. Number 88 in your program, number one in your hearts. Rory Ralrick, one of the newcomers rather, for the Atlanta Gladiators, scored his first goal ever as a Gladiator just last Saturday, just a week ago, against the Florida Everblades. Yep, the team he used to play for. So he was able, and it was just a beautiful one-timer, I believe, the overtime winner in that one. He has played 650 pro games as of Tuesday, which is fantastic. So shout out to Rory Ralrick. Know that with only 6 games remaining on the schedule, 4 weekend and 2 weekday, that Rory, there's a good chance you're gonna see me somewhere. I'm gonna do my best to let you know who I am, let you know your number one fan, right here, Jeremy from BoardCheck. And just shout out to you for doing all you do. Just listen to Chris Treff call this game just earlier tonight. Just keep doing a fantastic job. So shout out to you, Rory. Shout out to the Atlanta Gladiators for bringing you in. And congrats on the first goal. Now, Princess Day is scheduled to be March the 12th. I believe that is a Saturday. There's going to be a special VIP luncheon and an on-ice Let Air Go, instead of Let It Go, Let Air Go sing-along. So, you know, if we're going to have a big Princess Day, make sure you take your little princess, your favorite little princesses, to the game. It's going to be fantastic. I've encouraged some friends of mine to take their little princesses of daughters. It should be a fun time. I cannot guarantee that I'm going to sing along, but good chance I'm going to try to find my way down there and make sure everybody's having a good time. So definitely check that out. Atlanta is currently playing right now, like I said, against the Adirondack Thunder. I believe it was 2-1 last time we checked, right before we started covering all this and taping the show. So, you know, hopefully they're able to get the victory. And like I said, there's only 6 home games left between now and the end of the season. There's 2 during the weekdays. I believe it's a Tuesday and maybe a Thursday game. And then, of course, there are, I think it's a Friday, Saturday, and a Saturday, Sunday coming up very, very shortly. We're going to do our best to go. And you guys should too. But that's going to do it for us this week. Shout out to the Atlanta Gladiators and the Boston Bruins for remaining being awesome. You guys are awesome. You make it fun to be a fan, fun to cover you guys, and hopefully we'll see you guys out of some games here soon. So, go Gladiators, go Bruins. This is Jeremy the Impact York for BoardCheck. We'll see you guys next week.
Let's get ready to rumble! Feel the fires into the red. It's nice and only know how.